The massive human dreadnought, Terran Titan, drifted silently through the inky black of space. Its hull, rough and pitted, bore the scars of 1,000 micrometeorite impacts. To the untrained eye, it looked old and worn. But looks can be deceiving. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen. A sea of stars stretched out before her, beautiful and serene. But Sarah knew better. Out there, lurking just beyond the range of their sensors, was an alien fleet, and they were about to make first contact. "Any sign of them yet, Lee?" Sarah asked, her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her gut. Lieutenant Lai, hunched over his sensor console, shook his head. "Nothing yet, Captain. But they're out there. I can feel it." Sarah nodded. She felt it too. A prickling at the back of her neck, a sense of being watched. It was the same feeling she'd had as a child, lying in bed, convinced there was a monster in her closet. Only this time, the monsters were real. Suddenly, Lai's console erupted in a cacophony of beeps and whistles. "Contact," he shouted. "Multiple contacts, bearing 047 Mark 12. Sarah's heart raced. This was it. The moment humanity had been waiting for, dreading, and dreaming of for centuries. First contact with an alien species. "On screen," she ordered, her voice calm despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that took Sarah's breath away. A fleet of alien ships, sleek and beautiful, glided through space with an effortless grace that made the Titan seem clumsy by comparison. Their hulls shimmered with an iridescent sheen, like the wings of a butterfly. "They're beautiful," whispered Ensign Rodriguez from her station at helm control. Sarah had to agree. But she also knew that beauty could hide deadly dangers. "Open a channel," she commanded. Communications Officer Patel nodded, his fingers dancing over his console. "Channel open, Captain." Sarah took a deep breath, straightened her uniform, and spoke. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth ship Terran Titan. We come in peace and friendship. Welcome to Earth space." For a long moment, there was only silence. Sarah held her breath, waiting. Then, a voice came through the speakers. It was oddly melodic, with a lilting quality that made it sound almost like singing. "Greetings, Earthship. This is High Commander Zixel of the Galactic Confederation. We have been observing your world for some time. We are surprised to find you venturing so far from your home." Sarah frowned. There was something in the alien's tone, a hint of amusement, perhaps even condescension. "We are explorers, High Commander. We seek to learn about the universe and make new friends." A sound came through the speakers, a trilling noise that Sarah realized must be laughter. "Friends? Oh, my dear Captain. You are like children taking your first steps. Look at your ship. It is quaint, charming, even, but hardly a match for the wonders of the galaxy." Sarah felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment and anger. She glanced around the bridge, saw the same mixture of shame and indignation on the faces of her crew. They all knew the truth about the Titan, the secret hidden beneath its battered exterior, but they had their orders. The Titan's true nature was to remain hidden, a last resort. "We may surprise you, High Commander," Sarah said, fighting to keep her voice level. "Appearances can be deceiving." Another trill of laughter. "Oh, I'm sure you have many surprises, little ones. But come, let us meet properly. I invite you to dock with our flagship. We have much to discuss about your place in the galaxy." Sarah's eyes narrowed. There was no mistaking the patronizing tone now. These aliens clearly thought humans were primitive, barely worth noticing. Part of her wanted to show them just how wrong they were, to unleash the Titan's true power and wipe that smug superiority from their faces. But no, that wasn't why they were here. They had to be patient, to play the long game. Let the aliens underestimate them. For now. "We would be honored, High Commander," Sarah said, forcing a smile. "We look forward to learning from you." As she gave the order to approach the alien flagship, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, how long could they keep up this charade? And what would happen when the aliens discovered the truth about the Terran Titan? Only time would tell, and in the vastness of space, they had plenty of that. As the Terran Titan docked with the alien flagship, Chief Engineer Ravi Mehta stood in the heart of the great ship, surrounded by humming machinery. His dark eyes darted from screen to screen, monitoring the hidden systems that made the Titan so special. "How are we holding up, Ravi?" A voice crackled through his earpiece. It was Captain Chen. Ravi wiped sweat from his brow. "All systems normal, Captain. The cloaking device is working perfectly. They can't see what's really under the hood." He thought back to the years of hard work, the sleepless nights, and the countless failures that had led to this moment. The Titan wasn't just a ship. It was a miracle of science, a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Ravi remembered the day, 5 years ago, when he'd first been recruited for the project. He'd been working on fusion reactors, trying to solve Earth's energy crisis. Then one day, a stern-faced woman in a military uniform has shown up at his lab. "Dr. Mehta," she'd said, "how would you like to change the course of human history?" What followed was a whirlwind of secret meetings, non-disclosure agreements, and finally, the reveal of the Titan project. They wanted to build a ship unlike anything the world had ever seen, a ship that could stand toe-to-toe with any alien threat. At first, Ravi had thought it was impossible. The technology they were proposing was centuries ahead of its time. But as he dug deeper into the research, he began to see the possibilities. Now, 5 years later, here they were, face to face with an alien civilization that thought humans were nothing more than children playing at being grown-ups. Ravi's hands clenched into fists. If only they knew. If only they could see the power thrumming through the Titan's veins, the revolutionary technology hidden beneath its rough exterior. But that was the point, wasn't it? To hide their true strength until the moment was right. A soft beep drew Ravi's attention back to the present. One of the secondary systems was showing a slight fluctuation. Nothing serious, but in a ship like the Titan, even the smallest anomaly could be dangerous. Ravi's fingers flew over the touchscreen, adjusting power levels and rerouting energy flows. The beeping stopped. Crisis averted. He let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. That had been close. Too close. "Everything okay down there?" Captain Chen's voice came through again. "Yes, Captain," Ravi replied, hoping his voice didn't betray his nervousness. "Just a minor hiccup. All sorted now." "Good," said the captain. "Keep it that way. We can't afford any slip-ups." Ravi nodded, even though he knew she couldn't see him. "Understood, Captain. We'll keep the old girl purring like a kitten." As he turned back to his monitors, Ravi couldn't help but wonder what was happening up on the bridge. Were the aliens still mocking them? Did they have any idea of the power they were dealing with? He thought about the ship's true capabilities. The quantum drive that could cross galaxies in the blink of an eye. The energy shields that could withstand the heat of a supernova. The weapons that could reduce a planet to ash. All of it hidden, waiting to be unleashed. Part of Ravi wanted to fire it all up, to show these arrogant aliens what humans were really capable of. But he knew better. They had to be patient. They had to play the long game. Still, he kept his hand near the main power switch, just in case. As he worked, Ravi's mind drifted to the future. What would happen when the truth finally came out? Would the aliens be impressed? Terrified? Would it lead to war or to a new era of cooperation? Only time would tell. And for now, all Ravi could do was wait and watch, ready to bring the true power of the Titan to life at a moment's notice. The fate of humanity might well rest in his hands, and Ravi Mehta was determined not to let his species down. Lieutenant Zara Kazemi stood at attention, her eyes fixed on the airlock doors. Behind her, Captain Chen and a small team of officers waited nervously. The aliens were coming aboard. With a hiss of escaping air, the airlock cycled open. Zara's hand instinctively moved to her sidearm, but she forced herself to relax. This was supposed to be a peaceful meeting. 3 alien figures glided into the room. Zara's eyes widened. They were tall, at least 7 feet, with shimmering silver skin and large almond-shaped eyes. They moved with a fluid grace that made them seem almost weightless. The lead alien, its head adorned with intricate patterns, stepped forward. "I am High Commander Zixel," it said, its voice a melodious trill. "We welcome you aboard our vessel." Captain Chen stepped forward, offering a slight bow. "Thank you, High Commander. We're honored to be here." Zixel's eyes roamed over the human delegation, a hint of amusement in their depths. "Such interesting creatures you are," it said. "So primitive, yet so eager to join the galactic community." Zara felt her cheeks burn with anger. Primitive. Who did these aliens think they were? But Captain Chen remained calm. "We have much to learn," she said smoothly. "Perhaps you'd like a tour of our ship." Zixel trilled a laugh. "Oh yes, we'd be fascinated to see your quaint little vessel." As they moved through the Titan's corridors, Zara watched the aliens closely. They seemed unimpressed by the ship's size, barely glancing at the massive engines or the state-of-the-art medical bay. "Your power systems seem rather basic," one of the aliens commented, running a long-fingered hand over a control panel. Zara bit her tongue. If only they knew what really powered the Titan. The revolutionary quantum core hidden deep within the ship's heart could outperform anything these smug aliens had ever seen. But those were secrets they couldn't reveal. Not yet. As they reached the bridge, High Commander Zixel turned to Captain Chen. "Tell me, Captain, how do you hope to defend yourselves out here in the vastness of space? Surely you've encountered other species less welcoming than ourselves." There was a challenge in the alien's voice, a hint of threat beneath the seemingly innocent question. Captain Chen's reply was careful. "We manage, High Commander. Humanity has always been resourceful." Zixel's eyes narrowed. "Indeed. But resourcefulness can only take you so far. The galaxy is a dangerous place for inexperienced travelers." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Zara's hand flew to her earpiece. "Captain," came Ravi's panicked voice from engineering. "We've got multiple ships decloaking off our starboard bow." Zara's heart raced. This was a trap. High Commander Zixel's demeanor changed in an instant. Gone was the condescending amusement, replaced by cold determination. "You didn't think we'd let an unknown species wander freely through our territory, did you?" it hissed. Captain Chen's face hardened. "What is the meaning of this, High Commander?" "Insurance, my dear Captain," Zixel replied. "Your ship will be escorted to our homeworld for further examination. We can't have potentially dangerous primitives running about, now can we?" Zara's hand tightened on her weapon. This was it, the moment they'd all feared and prepared for. Captain Chen's voice was steel. "I'm afraid we can't allow that, High Commander." Zixel laughed, a harsh sound nothing like its earlier melodious tones. "Allow? My dear, you don't have a choice. Your little ship is no match for our fleet." For the first time since the aliens had come aboard, Captain Chen smiled. It was not a friendly expression. "I wouldn't be so sure about that, High Commander." She tapped her communicator. "Ravi, power it up. All of it." Zara felt a thrill of excitement and fear run through her. This was it. The Titan was about to show its true colors. And these arrogant aliens were in for one hell of a surprise. Deep in the heart of the Terran Titan, Chief Engineer Ravi Meta's fingers flew across the control panels. "Powering up, Captain," he reported, his voice tight with excitement and fear. The ship began to hum, a deep vibration that started in its core and spread outward. Lights flickered, then blazed brighter than ever before. On the bridge, screens that had been dark suddenly came to life, displaying information and capabilities that would have seemed impossible mere moments ago. High Commander Zixel's eyes widened in shock. What is this?" it demanded, its earlier smugness replaced by growing alarm. Captain Chen's smile grew wider, fiercer. This, High Commander, is the true face of the Terran Titan. The ship shuddered, plates of seemingly solid metal sliding apart to reveal gleaming weapon systems. The rough, pitted hull began to smooth out, a shimmering energy field enveloping the entire vessel. Outside, the alien ships that had been closing in suddenly halted their approach. Their sensors must be going crazy, Zora thought with grim satisfaction. Impossible, Zixel breathed, its silver skin paling to an ashen gray. Your technology. It can't be. Oh, but it is, Captain Chen said, her voice hard. You thought us primitive, High Commander. You thought to trick us, to capture us. But humanity has faced threats before. We've learned to be prepared. Ravi's voice crackled over the comm. Quantum core at full power, Captain. All systems online and ready. Thank you, Ravi, Chen replied. She turned to Zixel. Now then, High Commander, shall we discuss this situation as equals? But Zixel was no longer listening. It barked orders into a communicator on its wrist, its earlier grace forgotten in its panic. Suddenly, the ship rocked as energy blasts from the alien fleet struck its shields. They're attacking, Zora shouted, already moving to the weapons console. Captain Chen's face hardened. So be it. Zora, return fire. Target their weapon systems only. Let's show them what we can do without destroying them completely. Zara's hands danced across the controls, unleashing the Titan's awesome firepower. Beams of energy, far more powerful than anything the aliens had seen before, lanced out from the ship. On the view screen, they watched as alien ship after alien ship lost power, their weapons disabled with surgical precision. High Commander Zixel stared in disbelief. How? How is this possible? You were nothing but primitives. A mask, Captain Chen said softly. A deception to protect ourselves until we could be sure of your intentions, and it seems we were right to be cautious. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in minutes. The alien fleet hung motionless in space, disabled but not destroyed. Captain Chen turned to Zixel. Now then, High Commander, I believe it's time we had a real conversation about humanity's place in the galaxy. Zixel seemed to deflate, its earlier arrogance completely gone. Yes, I believe you're right, Captain. As the tensions on the bridge slowly eased, Zora couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. They had done it. Humanity had faced its first major extraterrestrial threat and emerged victorious. But as she looked at the disabled alien ships on the view screen, a new worry began to gnaw at her. What would happen now? Would this lead to war with the alien civilization? Or could they forge a peace born of mutual respect and understanding? One thing was certain. The galaxy now knew that humanity was not to be underestimated. The Terran Titan had lived up to its name, standing strong against those who would threaten Earth. As Captain Chen began negotiations with the now humbled Zixel, Zora allowed herself a small smile. Whatever came next, humanity was ready to face it head-on. The true power of the Terran Titan had been revealed, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble at its might. The mood on the bridge of the Terran Titan was tense. Captain Chen stood tall, facing High Commander Zixel, whose earlier arrogance had melted into a mix of fear and awe. Let's start over, shall we? Chen said, her voice firm but not unkind. We came in peace, and we still wish for peace, but we will not be bullied or underestimated. Zixel nodded slowly, its large eyes darting around the bridge, taking in the advanced technology that had been hidden moments before. We have made a grave error in judgment, Captain Chen. Please, allow me to contact my superiors. They must know of this development. Chen nodded, gesturing to the communications officer. You may use our systems. I'm sure you'll find them quite capable now. As Zixel moved to make its call, Zora approached the captain. Ma'am, she whispered, what if they call for reinforcements? We've shown our hand now. Chen's lips tightened into a thin line. "Then we'll face whatever comes, Lieutenant. But I have a feeling the High Commander's superiors will be more interested in talking than fighting." Across the bridge, Ravi's voice came through the speakers. "Captain, I'm picking up some strange readings from the alien ships. It looks like they're changing." Everyone turned to the main view screen. The disabled alien vessels were transforming before their eyes. Gone was the sleek, butterfly-like appearance. Instead, their hulls were becoming rough and pitted, much like the Titans had been. Zixel finished its call and turned back to Chen, a look of sheepish embarrassment on its face. "It seems we are not the only ones who came in disguise, Captain." Chen's eyebrows shot up. "You mean?" "Yes," Zixel said. "Like you, we hid our true capabilities. It is standard procedure when encountering new species. We never imagined you would be doing the same." A laugh bubbled up from Chen's throat, surprising everyone, including herself. "All this posturing on both sides. We're more alike than we thought, aren't we?" For the first time, a genuine smile appeared on Zixel's face. "It appears so, Captain. My superiors are most interested in opening real diplomatic channels now. They suggest a summit to be held on neutral ground." Chen nodded. "I'll need to consult with my own superiors, but I believe they'll agree. This could be the beginning of a great alliance." As the tension on the bridge eased, Zora couldn't help but chuckle. All that worry, all that preparation, and in the end, we're just two sides playing the same game. Ravi's voice came through again, this time filled with excitement. "Captain, the readings I'm getting from their ships now. The technology is amazing. There's so much we could learn from each other." Chen turned to Zixel. "High Commander, it seems our engineers are already excited about the possibilities. Perhaps while we wait for our governments to arrange this summit, we could begin some informal exchanges. Engineer to engineer." Zixel trilled happily. "An excellent suggestion, Captain. I'm sure our technical teams would be thrilled." As plans were made and the first tentative steps towards true cooperation began, Zara found herself marveling at the turn of events. What had started as a potential disaster had transformed into an opportunity for growth and understanding. She watched as human and alien crew members began to mingle, their earlier suspicions giving way to curiosity and excitement. The universe, it seemed, was full of surprises. As the day wound down, Captain Chen found a quiet moment to stand at the view screen, gazing out at the stars. Zara joined her, and for a while, they stood in companionable silence. "You know," Chen said at last, "when we left Earth, I never imagined it would turn out like this. I thought we'd be lucky just to survive our first encounter." Zara nodded. "Instead, we may have just made our first real alien friends." Chen smiled. The Terran Titan lived up to its name today, not through its weapons or its power, but through its ability to bridge the gap between worlds. As they stood there, human and alien ships floating side by side, in the vastness of space, the future seemed brighter than ever before. Days passed, and the Terran Titan floated in space alongside the alien fleet. The initial shock of their mutual deception had given way to a bustling atmosphere of exchange and learning. In one of the Titan's large conference rooms, Ravi Mehta stood before a mixed group of human and alien engineers. His dark eyes sparkled with excitement as he gestured to a holographic display of the ship's quantum core. "And this," he said, "is what allows us to manipulate subspace fields, giving us capabilities far beyond traditional propulsion systems." The aliens leaned forward, their silver skin shimmering under the lights. One of them, an engineer named Vexler, raised a long-fingered hand. "Fascinating. This is not unlike our own gravitic displacement drive. Perhaps we could combine the technologies." Ravi grinned. "That's exactly what I was thinking. If we could merge our quantum manipulation with your gravitic systems, we might be able to achieve speeds we've only dreamed of." As the engineers dove into an animated discussion of equations and theoretical models, Zara Kazemi slipped out of the room. The technical talk was beyond her, but she couldn't help smiling at the enthusiasm on both sides. She made her way to the bridge, where Captain Chen was deep in conversation with High Commander Zixel. The two leaders had spent much of the past few days together, hammering out the details of their newfound alliance. "Ah, Lieutenant Kazingni," Chen called as Zara entered. "Perfect timing. We were just discussing the security protocols for the upcoming summit." Zixel nodded, its large eyes blinking slowly. "Yes, we believe it would be best if both our forces worked together to ensure the safety of all delegates." Zara straightened, her military training kicking in. "Of course, High Commander. I'd be happy to coordinate with your security team." As they delved into the details, Zara couldn't help but marvel at how quickly things had changed. Just days ago, they had been on the brink of conflict. Now they were planning a historic meeting that could reshape the galaxy. Hours later, Zara found herself in the ship's mess hall, sharing a meal with a mix of human and alien crew members. The aliens had brought some of their own food, strange crystalline structures that seemed to dissolve on the tongue. "So," said one of the aliens, Krelax, between bites, "tell us more about your Earth. Is it true that much of your planet is covered in liquid water?" Zara nodded, swallowing a mouthful of synthesized protein. "That's right. We call them oceans. They cover about 70% of our planet's surface." The aliens exchanged looks of wonder. "Incredible," Krelax breathed. "Our world is mostly desert. The idea of so much water in one place, it's hard to imagine." As they continued to share stories about their respective homeworlds, Zara felt a warmth spreading through her chest. This, she realized, was what space exploration was all about. Not just discovering new worlds, but new friends. Later that night, as the ship's lights dimmed to simulate evening, Zara stood at a viewport, gazing out at the stars. She felt someone come up beside her and turned to see Captain Chen. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Chen said softly. Zara nodded. "It's amazing, Captain. And to think, just a few days ago, we thought we might be seeing it for the last time." Chen chuckled. "Instead, we're seeing it through new eyes. The aliens have already invited us to visit their homeworld after the summit. Can you imagine what we might discover there?" As they stood in comfortable silence, watching the starlight, Zara's mind raced with possibilities. New worlds to explore, new civilizations to meet, new technologies to master. The future stretched out before them, vast and full of promise. The Terran Titan had set out to defend humanity. Instead, it had opened the door to a grand adventure, one that would take them further than they had ever dreamed possible. As Zara finally turned in for the night, she couldn't help but feel that they were standing on the threshold of a new era. An era of cooperation, of discovery, of boundless potential. And it had all started with a bluff, the hidden strength, and the courage to reach out in friendship when the chips were down. The day of the Grand Summit had finally arrived. The Terran Titan, along with the alien fleet, approached a neutral space station that hung in orbit around a gas giant. Its rings sparkled in the light of a distant sun, creating a breathtaking backdrop for this historic event. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her uniform crisp and perfect. Around her, the crew bustled with nervous energy. This was the moment they had all been working towards. "Status report," Chen called out. Zara responded promptly. "All systems normal, Captain. Our security teams are in place and coordinating with the alien forces." Ravi's voice came through the comm system. "Engineering is green across the board. The new modifications we developed with the alien tech team are holding steady." Chen nodded, a small smile on her face. "Excellent work, everyone. Let's make history." As the Titan docked with the space station, Chen couldn't help but reflect on their journey. From a moment of near conflict to the brink of a new era of cooperation, it had been a whirlwind few weeks. The airlock hissed open, and Chen led her team onto the station. They were greeted by a diverse group of alien species. Some looked similar to Zixel's people, while others were wildly different. floating gas bags, crystalline structures, and even beings that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. High Commander Zixel glided forward, its silver skin gleaming under the station's lights. "Captain Chen," it said warmly, "welcome to the Galactic Confederation Summit." Chen shook its hand, marveling at how natural the gesture now felt. "Thank you, High Commander. We're honored to be here." As they moved into the main conference hall, Chen saw hundreds of delegates from across the galaxy. The room buzzed with excitement and curiosity. Many eyes turned to watch the human delegation, the newest potential members of this vast community. Zara leaned in close to Chen, whispering, "I never imagined anything like this, Captain. It's overwhelming." Chen nodded. "Deep breaths, Lieutenant. Remember, we've earned our place here." The summit began with speeches from various leaders. When it was Chen's turn to address the gathering, she stepped up to the podium, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "Distinguished delegates," she began, "just weeks ago, humanity believed we were alone in the universe. We built the Terran Titan to protect ourselves from the unknown. But today, we stand before you not as defenders, but as explorers, eager to join this grand community of worlds." As Chen spoke of Earth, of humanity's hopes and dreams, she saw nods of understanding and approval ripple through the audience. The fear of the unknown that had driven both humans and aliens to hide their true natures was giving way to a spirit of openness and cooperation. Hours passed in discussion and debate. Plans were made for cultural exchanges, scientific collaborations, and joint exploration missions. The Terran Titan, once a symbol of humanity's isolation, would now serve as a bridge between worlds. As the summit drew to a close, Ravi found himself deep in conversation with a group of alien engineers. They were already sketching out plans for a new type of ship, one that combined the best technologies from a dozen different worlds. Zara, meanwhile, was comparing notes on security protocols with her alien counterparts. She marveled at how quickly they had gone from potential enemies to trusted allies. As the final agreements were signed, a cheer went up from the assembled delegates. Captain Chen felt a lump in her throat as she watched humans and aliens embracing, shaking hands, and exchanging contact information. Later, as the Terran Titan prepared to depart for its next mission, a joint exploration of a newly discovered star system, Chen gathered her senior staff on the bridge. "Well," she said, looking at each of them in turn, "I'd say our first contact mission was a success. Who's ready for the next adventure?" Grins broke out across the bridge. As the Titan disengaged from the station, its course set for the unknown, Chen felt a sense of profound optimism. The universe, vast and mysterious as it was, no longer seemed like a threat. Instead, it was a promise of discovery, of friendship, and of a future brighter than they had ever imagined. As the ship engaged its engines, now enhanced with alien technology, the stars stretched into lines of light. The Terran Titan, once Earth's secret weapon, now raced towards a new destiny as a ship of peace and exploration. The adventure, it seemed, was just beginning.